monthly board meeting of the Ambridge Area School District Board of Directors on Wednesday, May 17, 2023 is now called to order. Do we have students here for the flag salute? Okay, everybody please rise. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have students for a student council report? This meeting is being recorded for district purposes. It is or may be published in part or in its entirety on the district's website without the express permission of meeting participants. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carpenter?
Here.
Mr. Cephas? Mrs. Fisher?
Here.
Ms. Fitzko?
Here.
Mr. Kieber?
Here.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Here.
Mrs. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Zachi?
Here.
Mrs. Ramasco?
Here.
8 present.
Thank you. And the sunshine law, please?
The Board of School Directors held an executive session on Wednesday, May 17th to discuss personnel matters, matters subject to attorney-client privilege and other confidentiality laws, litigation or threatened litigation matters, sensitive public safety issues.
Thank you. And do we have any correspondence this evening?
We did receive 2 correspondence, one from Justin Hyson and one from Laura Shakespeare, which I have circulated to the board.
Thank you very much. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes of Wednesday, April 12th meet and discuss voting and non-voting meeting and Wednesday, April 19th board meeting?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion to accept the treasurer's report dated April 2023.
Motion.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, Madam President. On page 4, under Education and Technology, number 3 should read as follows. It is recommended to ratify the discipline agreement for student number 287-838-7872, relevant to a middle school student pending finalization agreement.
Thank you. Is that a motion?
It is.
Okay, so you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any other amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, we will move on to recognition for this evening. And we'll come down there, so if you could just give us 1 second.
Trez Everett and Shamar Underwood, are you here this evening? No? Okay, for anyone attending that does not know the situation, Trez and Shamar made some very heroic efforts in assisting people in Ambridge that were rescued and saved from a fire. And we wanted to honor them this evening. And on behalf of the district and the board, you are heroic in our eyes, and I'm sure to the rest of the community too. And we're proud that you're Bridgers, and we thank you, and God bless you for doing what you did. Trez is a 9th grader here at the high school, and Shamara is an 8th grader. And we're recognizing them for their courageous acts in supporting their fellow neighbors. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. The Henry Mancini Awards ceremony is a celebration of outstanding student achievement in high school musical theater. These awards recognize individual artistry and honor the dedication and professionalism of students and educators and their school's commitment to the performing arts education. Participating school musicals are educated by a panel of industry professionals from across the region, and students participate in a culminating awards ceremony featuring a variety of student performances as well as individual and group awards. Under the sponsorship of the Pittsburgh CLO, the Mancini Awards are part of the National High School Musical Theater Awards, and this year, Ambridge Area High School's cast of School of Rock will be one of the few competing schools who were invited to perform at the awards this Saturday. Ambridge Area High School Musical received 6 nominations, 1 for Best Ensemble, of which I believe there was only 3 nominees, Best Crew, Technical Execution, Best Scenic Design, Best Costume Design, Best Lighting Design, Best Musical, and Best Musical was the one I believe there was only 3 nominations for. The musical cast, crew, and staff would like to thank all of those that made this production possible. Results in the Mancini Awards will be available this Sunday evening. And for all of us that went to that musical, regardless of what the outcome is this weekend, we know how amazing it was. So congratulations to all of you. Is there somebody here to take this on their behalf? We'll make sure it gets to the right folks. Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay, I'm going to go a little bit out of order here. The first recognition we have this evening is awarded from the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 862, their annual awards banquet. The award is the Blaine Allender Memorial Scholarship, which they award to, and it will be to a student that is in either Allegheny, Beaver, or Washington County. And this year, Lena Carr, a senior here at Ambridge High School, won the award. I don't see her here. Is she here? Okay, moving on. The Beaver County Career and Technology Center has an extended list of honorees for this evening. Jason DeSantis, 11th grade, receiving the Penn Foster Certificate for Customer Service and Sales. Violet Warren, 11th grade, also receiving the Penn Foster Certificate for Customer Sales and Service. Jocelyn Mahmoud, 12th grader, receiving the Penn Foster Certificate for Business of Retail. And Sierra Tenney, 12th grade, receiving the Penn Foster Certificate for Business of Retail. Moving on, Health Occupation Students of America, which is known as HOSA, state competition. Beaver County Career and Technology Center, Sydney Ford, an 11th grader here at Ambridge High School, is a health occupation student, placed second in researched persuasive writing and speaking, earning her a silver medal. 11 finalists from across Pennsylvania were required to write and present a persuasive essay that had to be less than 4 minutes in length. Sydney's presentation was on the need for in-person, not virtual learning. So congratulations to her. If anybody's here from this evening when I'm reading these, please come on down. The Beaver County Career and Technology Center National Technical Honor Society. On April 26, 2023, the following students were inducted into the Beaver County Career and Technology National Technical Honor Society. Sydney Ford, 11th grade, health occupations. Mason Lewis, 11th grade, graphic arts. Student of the Month for the CTC 12th grade, Cameron Drexler in January, Jem Price in February, Cole Shalupiak in February. Student of the Month 11th grade, Jason DeSantis, September, Violet Warren, January, and Alex Pierce, March. So congratulations to all of them. Come back over here. Okay, come over here.
Did you get your picture? Yeah, we did. Okay. All right. Good evening. We're going to move on to Students of the Month. High School Students of the Month for the month of April. As I call your name, just come on down. We have Maya Sherry for 9th grade, Nicholas Henry for 10th grade, Kylie Dreyer for 11th grade, and James Davis for 11th grade. High School April, 12th grade. My apologies. High School April Extra Effort Award. Brittany Porch, 9th grade. Gavin Crease, 10th grade. Donald Kurth, 11th grade. James Davis, 12th grade. Middle School April Students of the Month. Liam Cooper, 7th grade. Elena Strong, 6th grade. Charlotte Hill, 8th grade. Economy Elementary April Student of the Month. Brinley Raymer, 5th grade. Highland Elementary School April Student of the Month. Madison Chandler, 2nd grade. State Street Elementary School Student of the Month. Caleb Lewis, 4th grade. Congratulations, students, and well done. Make sure your parents all get their picture before you leave. I want those here. You got it for Paul.
Okay, Dr. Pascarella here, going to speak on behalf of Mr. Hurd. Here for the middle school. Is Jen Buchanan here? Okay, well, I'll take a moment to read this on behalf of Mr. Hurd. Jen Buchanan is the Employee of the Month at the middle school. Jen Buchanan is one of our building secretaries and is an invaluable team player, always ready to lend a helping hand wherever it is needed. With a welcoming smile and a genuine desire to assist, she ensures that the school functions smoothly and efficiently. Whether it's organizing schedules, answering phone calls, or managing administrative tasks, she approaches each responsibility with enthusiasm and dedication. Her willingness to go above and beyond her official duties sets her apart. Whether assisting teachers with classroom preparations, supporting students with their assignments, or providing guidance to parents, she creates a warm and supportive environment for everyone. Mrs. Buchanan's commitment to teamwork and her willingness to help out wherever makes her an indispensable asset to the entire school community. Please join me in congratulating Mrs. Jen Buchanan. We'll also be presenting Economy Elementary on behalf of Mrs. Galitzis. Is Cindy Hooks here? Okay. Cindy Hooks is the Employee of the Month and she's the head cook at Economy. It is my pleasure to work with Cindy Hooks, the head cook at Economy Elementary. She always has a smile on her face and is ready to accommodate our every need. She keeps up with the latest nutritional information and is very knowledgeable of the food allergies that our students may respond negatively to during meals. The morning breakfast cart is full of nutritious foods to give our students an energetic start to the day. She supervises the lunch serving line so that it moves quickly for our students to have enough time to eat without rushing through their midday meal. Our students enjoy their time in the cafeteria, interacting and getting to know each other over a tasty meal. The old adage, no matter where I serve my guests, they seem to like my kitchen best, is very reflective of the environment that Mrs. Hooks has created in the lunchroom here at Economy Elementary. Congratulations from Mrs. Galitzis and the entire Economy staff. Mrs. Hooks. And I'm back up here for Highland on behalf of Ms. Hall. Is Marky Hudak here? Come on in. Okay. Marky Hudak goes above and beyond as her role as pre-K paraprofessional. She is collegial, collaborative, and attentive to student needs. She is communicative and is a committed team member here at Highland Elementary School. You are greatly appreciated. Thank you, Marky. Thank you so much. Be sure to shake her hand.
Thank you. Are you going to shake our hand?
One more picture. Okay. Thank you. Very good. Congratulations.
You can stay with us.
The State Street Elementary School April Employee of the Month is Miss Kim Bechet. Mrs. Kim Bechet is the State Street Elementary School Employee of the Month. Ms. Kim Bechet has worked for Ambridge Area School District for some time now. When she decided to become a paraeducator, she applied with the Ambridge Area School District, was interviewed, and was hired. What is the role of a paraeducator? A paraeducator is a professional who works in a classroom environment to provide instruction, guidance, and service to students. They perform tasks and provide assistance to ensure that all students receive the resources and help they need. Some daily tasks include evaluating students' needs, listening to student feedback, monitoring a child's development, preparing educational materials for students, instructing individual students or small groups, and collaborating with teachers and administrators. Ms. Bechet does this and much more. Ms. Bechet is helpful in all areas of the school. She not only supports learning support students in the classroom, but is supportive to all students in the school. Her day begins by meeting all the students with a smile and positive comments like, "I'm happy to see you today," with a big smile. Then throughout the day, she shows her expertise in the classroom by helping any of our students with difficult lessons or tests. Ms. Bechet does this with a calm and caring demeanor. She's always professional and has earned the trust and respect of both the students, staff, parents, and community. Ms. Bechet really cares for our students, as definitely shows. She is always looking for ways to help our students in school improve and voices her ideas and suggestions. Since I have worked with Ms. Bechet, these are some of the words that have been said about her from students, staff, and parents. Ms. Bechet is kind, accepting, adaptable, amazing, appreciative, bright, caring, cheerful, skilled, compassionate, confident, cool. That's from the kids. Dependable, diligent, diplomatic. That's from the administration. Easygoing, efficient, and the list goes on. State Street Elementary is extremely fortunate to have such a dedicated and personable staff member. Congratulations to Ms. Kim Bechet for being the Employee of the Month at State Street Elementary School in the Ambridge Area School District. Congratulations. Go shake hands. I'm going to get a picture.
Wait, Marky, come back. We'll do a group.
Residents may come forward to comment on agenda items only. Each person must state their first and last name and address prior to speaking. Each resident will be allowed 3 minutes and can speak only once. This period for public comment prior to the standing committee reports will be limited to 1/2 hour. Although not required, board members desiring to address questions or concerns may do so after the residents' comments or questions or at the conclusion of the committee reports. There will still be an opportunity for residents to comment on any business relevant to the Ambridge Area School District under old and new business at the end of the meeting. Is there anybody who wishes to speak this evening? Good evening.
Hello, my name is Melinda Arloff. It's 2917 Conway Walrose Road. This morning I was called by one of the parents from a school that my little ones don't even go to. And I was asked to come here tonight and be a voice for our kids. And I do it because I care for not just my kids, but I care the same for all of your kids. I don't feel that parents should be intimidated to come up to the school board meetings and speak up for when they do. For when they can't do it, I will show up. I will represent the parents that have worries. I will represent the teachers that feel they're not being heard. And why? Because I want this district all that it can be and not what it is right now. I appreciate each and every one of you that are sitting in front of us because many do not want this job, and I appreciate that you do. But instead of being known as a district that wants to cut teachers, cut positions, one that make our kids struggle when there's no consistency, I suggest we pause as a whole and bring back what matters. So I would like the board to consider voting against item number 23, 2023-2024, district course and section adjustments. Many of these adjustments would desecrate the foundation of our school district, which is the elementary school. That's where these kids come into our elementary schools. There are 19 curtailments and 19 alterations for positions. But with that, the positions are not nearly ran the same, such as going from emotional support and learning support, which is now divided by grades K through 2 and then 3 to 5, into making it a learning support, emotional support, autistic support, and life skills with all grade levels being as one. I certainly do not want my small first grader that is in life skills be with an older child that is much bigger, needing a whole different support system than life skills. I feel that this is a lawsuit waiting to happen. I will then most definitely choose another school district for my special needs child that has Down syndrome. Also, the STEAM, art, gym, and music teacher will be shared and expected to travel between 2 or more buildings per day. That is not maximizing time or financially beneficial, not to mention looks to be taking a lot from our students. It takes 15 to 20 minutes for a teacher to go from Economy Elementary to either one of the other elementary buildings into the high school. That is just the time to drive there, not the time to pack up their things, haul it to their car, park, and haul everything into another school and set up and to begin again. I'm sure these positions mentioned will need to be bid again amongst the staff. We are losing good teachers, as some retire early, some leave for other districts, or are just completely burned out. It amazes me by having kids that are in all 3 levels of our schools, just how many of our full-time teachers have second jobs to make ends meet. This should not be happening. But some stick around because they care so much for our kids and are so invested in their career choice that they stay. But I feel this pushing of our teachers to go so above and beyond what they signed up for is going to end the best ones. We can't keep the constant curtailment of staff and elimination of programs. This is driving the staff and family away. I also heard that there will be an earlier start time for the elementary next year, being 8:25 instead of 8:35. Will this be changing the schedule for our teachers for our times we have with our specials? There are many questions surrounded by this curtailments, and I would like the board to consider to vote against the item until it is figured out what is best for the students, the teacher, and our community. We are trying to encourage families to come to our school because honestly, we love our elementary schools, but things like this hurt us as a whole district. We need to know the true benefits of reorganizing our district as to what's being voted on and what it actually includes for all involved.
Christina Briola, Harmony Township. You all know that I am a teacher here as well. However, I'm going to talk about my son and how these curtailments and alterations affect him. So I went back and went through all the board minutes, and I saw that we had a resignation of a Spanish teacher mid-year. There's no Spanish teacher on this list. I know we don't have a Spanish teacher, a permanent teacher. Are we planning on hiring that, or are we eliminating that second Spanish teacher from our district? So that'll affect my son because that's one of the courses that he has chosen to take, and that may no longer be offered to him. I'm going to go fiscally now. What is going to be this cost with all this travel? Several different teachers travel to and from buildings every day, possibly multiple times a day, depending on where they start. If they start in the elementary and then move to the secondary, Does that mean they have to go back to the elementary? How many, how is that going to be affected? What's the impact of that travel? And on the cost, on the travel cost, but what is also the impact on the teaching schedule? Will there be an elimination of courses for those things? And I'm speaking specifically because my son wants to take weightlifting next year, and if we're down a phys ed teacher at the high school or there's not a schedule, then he may not be able to take that, and that's something he's very interested in doing. So fiscally, I'm concerned. That's a concern. And some of you know, because you know my background, you know that I have a certificate as a principal. I've had that. I chose not to pursue that path. It wasn't something I wanted to do. I love being in front of my kids. But as I look at this, and I'm very well versed in certification, so there's something called CSPGs with the certification staffing guidelines. Have those been checked? Because STEAM does not have a certification area, because I went through all of CSPGs this afternoon to check on this. And technology education does. So has that been checked? How is that going to impact what STEAM courses? I'm not aware, are we adding STEAM to the high school? Because I don't think those were any courses that were offered when my son was picking courses. And he's very interested in that field because he takes several of the tech ed courses in that field. So those are my questions for the board as you put forth these changes to what's offered for the kids in our district. Thanks.
Thank you.
So, oh, you have one person.
Are you answering? Go ahead.
Come on down. No, you go ahead. I'll come back.
You'll come back. Okay.
Tight.
Jamie Curry, Willow Drive, Freedom. I'm not super prepared this evening for this, but when I looked at the agenda briefly, I also have major concerns about agenda item number 23. Has this been figured out on paper? I don't know if I'm understanding the agenda correctly, that there's going to be one health and phys ed teacher for the high school and all 3 elementary schools. Is that correct? It looks like you're cutting.
Can you ask all your questions, and then we're taking notes and we'll answer them all.
Okay. I just want to know, if this has been worked out on paper, because how is that going to work? Are these kids in elementary going to have their specials classes? They already don't have them that much now because the specials teachers are being pulled to fill in because we don't have substitutes. So I don't see how you're going to have one individual that's at the high school and all 3 elementary schools. And then also, where can I find a list, or can you tell me a list of all the electives that are available at the high school? Because I don't see in that where you're adding, I don't see where any electives are being added for the high school. I really don't see how the constant curtailment of staff and elimination of programs is helpful to this district. Everybody wants to know, why are people leaving the district? This is why. This is why people are leaving. We don't have the programs and staff that people need or want for their kids. Having class sizes of 26 and 27 kids in elementary level is unacceptable. So that's all. I just want to know, how it's going to work for the elementary kids to have their specials and what electives are offered at the high school. Thank you.
So I have one I'll speak to, and then I think Dr. Pasquarella is going to take both of the last 2. As far as you asked about the electives that are available, I believe, don't quote me, but it was either November or December that we voted on the new electives.
Yes, there was a committee.
We were in the cafeteria. There was a committee. I believe it was the first meeting we were in the cafeteria. Also, the best place to go to see all the electives is if you go under the website in Guidance Services.
What is it?
Guidance Services. I don't know which menu at the top that's under, but I can always help you with that, or I'm sure Dr. Zupsik or anybody else can. Under Guidance Services, if you scroll down, it's the course catalog. and that'll give you the list. But if you want to see the actual new ones, it was, I believe, December or January, one of those meetings. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Just a couple comments to what was spoken to about the Spanish teacher. That, is not going to show on the curtailment or alteration at this given point because it will be a biddable item for the teachers if they do want that. We continue to try to hire for that position, and we have a substitute in the position at this given point. But at this given point, since it remained open, it can be bid upon. So yes, there will be a Spanish teacher. That's the answer to that question. The next question talked a little bit about cost and travel, I think, and the impact of that. I think it's important to understand, although there might be some mileage cost if the staff turns it in, the ability to gain maybe not every elective, but some significant additional electives at the high school is going to be important for the students, and I think it would be worth some cost in mileage. Tech and STEAM, more electives, are they there? Yes, I'm going to try to highlight. I have a list of some of those that may be offered. We looked at course demand tallies, and I'm jumping through, and then I'll say a couple comments to that. The other thing that was spoken about, will the students at the elementary school have their electives? Yes, they will have their electives. They'll have their, obviously, as you know, sometimes when there was substitute shortages, that did occur where they were pulled out of their specials so folks can cover. And although we'll do our best to try to recruit substitutes, I can't guarantee that. But please understand that the reflections on these changes still indicate that the students will have their STEAM, they will have their physical education, their music, and their art. So the elementary students will have that. Basically what's occurring here, somebody else said, is there only one teacher? There is one teacher who will have to split possibly from the high school and pick off a period or so at the elementary. That's true, but there's still an entire additional physical education teacher for the elementary school. I think that was another question, so I hope that I answered that. We did put out to, as we always do, but we put some additional electives, as the board indicated, to see interest, and there was quite a bit of interest in some of these courses. Obviously, if you're familiar with high school scheduling, there's going to be priority scheduling to different folks, and not everyone will be able to get everything they want, but we're excited to say that between looking at these adjustments that are on the agenda tonight, we're going to be able to offer many more technology education courses, for sure, some additional art we're hoping for. Also, I think it was mentioned, how could you have technology courses? Well, we're adding a technology position tonight to the agenda. If you look at the total employees, actually, it's going up by a third of an employee. I know that's not a lot, but it's repurposing that, but it isn't going down, so we're not cutting positions. That's important to note, I think. And I think we're going to offer a lot of electives that kids want in a lot of areas to try to maximize that, and I think that's going to be beneficial for those students while still making sure that our elementary school students get their specials that they currently got this year. Full transparency. Yes, there were some times where students got fifth specials, extra additional ones. Those still may take place, but it may not be guaranteed that your student gets a fifth special, which was usually an extra special on top of the 4. But they will get the 4 that they've always gotten and a little more. And if you have a high school student, they have a chance at some additional electives that are being offered. And I think you've been pointed to that. I also would encourage you, if you're not familiar with some of those electives at the high school level, that you get in contact with Dr. Zubczyk and the administration and the guidance to review some of those things if you're interested. But I just want to answer, I think I've answered the questions that were there. It says, what are all electives being added? Well, that would take some time to list, but I can tell you there will be some ones that we're either offering more sections so more people can get into, hopefully, in art, some in and around tech ed, and some in some of the other content areas as well as allowing to offer more sections of those, which will allow more students to gain those. Some in social studies. So that's the general statement. The administration at the building level now is continuing to fine-tune these schedules to make them as beneficial to the students as they can. But to some folks' point, yes, a general rough draft was put together, and I do believe that for the most part, it will be successful for our students.
I think the only question maybe, and this might have been from our first speaker, was can you just clarify the special ed positions and the renaming of that?
Yes, so, yeah, and I could let Dr. Filipowski talk, but basically, some of you may or may not know, we have a bid here at Ambridge where the union does get to bid on positions. So if you look, I'll start by saying this, if you look at the total number of special ed positions on the list and the ones below, they equal out. So there wasn't a cut in a special ed position. That being said, it's just making sure that we're able to service the kids to the best of our ability. If you have specific questions about your student, you could surely reach out to your building principal or Dr. Filipowski, but I believe that those services are going to be provided in a very effective and efficient way.
Is there going to be any change in like grade levels? So,
well, the idea is that if we have to have balance, there could be change in grade levels. Is it likely? It could be. In other words, if we only had a few students that qualify in a lower grade level and we needed to add one, maybe just up one grade level down because they transferred in after it was over, yes. I mean, that does happen. It can occur. But for the most part, students are grade band based, excuse me. But there are occasions where they might go up a level to meet caseloads.
but not the entire grade bands of the entire elementary school. I think that if I was interpreting that parent.
I think the question was, could a student be in first grade with a fifth grader? I would say, I'm not going to answer that 100%. I'll refer that to Dr. Filipowski, but I would say that would be doubtful.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak this evening? So we only take comments for about three minutes each. I mean, we typically go over. We already have gone over a little bit on each one of them. If there's anybody else who wishes to speak this evening, you most certainly can come up, and then you'll have time at the end of the meeting again for more clarifying questions if you would like, either on agenda items or non-agenda items. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? Okay. Moving on to committee reports, Education and Technology, Mrs. Smith and Mr. Zacchi.
Madam President, there is a few new ones from last week that will need to be read. Number 3 is the amendment for student discipline. It's recommended to ratify the discipline agreement for student 287-838-7872 relevant to a middle school student pending finalization agreement. Number 5, settlement agreement. It's recommended to approve the special education settlement agreement between the district and student 2965-655-611. It's further recommended to authorize the administration to take all steps in accordance therewith. Number 6 is new. Grade point average for Ambridge Area High School. It's recommended to adopt the following grade scale retroactively beginning with the class of 2024 for courses that were taken at the Ambridge Area High School.
I have a question about number 6.
Sure.
Why is it recommended that we start with the class of 2024?
Rather than?
2023?
Okay. Yep. We're going to move to a second just to get it on the table, so then we'll take discussion.
All right.
Okay. So you have, I believe, one left, right?
Yeah.
7? Did you read
7.
Okay.
Grade point average ratification for Ambridge Area High School is recommended to retroactively weight 9th and 10th grade honors courses that were taken at the Ambridge Area High School beginning with the 24 graduating class. Is there discussion on 2, 5, 6, or 7?
So was that a motion?
3, yes, motion.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Okay, now board discussion. So,
Same question,
Dr.
4,
Pascarelli.
6, and 7, please.
Dr. Pascarelli, can you
Yes,
state the reason for that?
the reason, I mean, that my reason for saying that it's not for 2023 is we're implementing this for the start of 2024. The year is, at this point, almost completed. And so, that this is moving forward. I mean, I think my opinion is that we should start a fresh year retroactively doing that. That's just the basic idea.
Well, is it a ton of work to do it for this year? Is it impossible?
I don't know that it's impossible. But I would say that I know a lot of people have turned in transcripts, which I guess they could turn in. I don't know what would entail to be able to do that at this given point with rank and everything else that goes along with that, and if it would make changes or not.
I mean, can I ask Dr. Zubczyk to weigh in, or
was just gonna
Mr.
say
King, or I just don't want to short somebody something they're due, and if we are going to rectify this situation and change our weight, which I'm in favor of, to be clear, I'm just trying to figure out if it would benefit any of our current seniors. I know most have applied and/or been accepted. Can we talk a little bit more about it?
Dr. Zubczyk, do you mind?
One more, I can go.
I think the only thing, and maybe this is the most practical comment, is that I'm not against helping or doing something to the benefit of students, but I am setting a graduation program to the printer in 5 days with our top 10 students listed. I don't know what the impact would be. I don't know if we could accomplish that task to do appropriate recognition for those top 10 students. I would want there to be an error in recognizing those top students. While it may affect everybody evenly, I can't guarantee that outcome with doing retroactive for this year's graduating class and the class of 2023. I'm not saying I would like to, I just don't know if that's a task to be accomplished in 5 days.
Do you think that most students at this point have already applied to college, submitted transcripts? I mean, I would imagine, right?
We're already taking lists for where we're sending your transcripts on June 6th.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So,
Got it.
whereas I don't, like, again, I don't want to harm students, I'd love to help everybody, but there are timelines
Okay.
at this point in the school year where things have already been set. Scholarships have already been awarded based on our current
That's a good
status.
point.
I don't want to,
Okay.
harm that process or, change any of that, things that are, maybe like submitted to Penn State. And you've already applied for the Floyd White Fellowship, but now you're not getting it because there was an unexpected change to the negative.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions for her?
I would just like to say I wish we would have done this sooner,
Me too.
because I would like to apologize to our students that this could have potentially helped. That's all.
Any other comments on items 1 through 7? I just wanted to make a quick comment on the GPA side. If you weren't here last week, the administration did do a pretty lengthy presentation on different options. There was some discussion, so if you want to go back and watch that recording, I'm sure it's online at this point, so if you want to do that, it'll give you a little bit more information about the whole process for the GPA. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Fitzko?
Yes.
Mr. Kieber?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Zachi?
Yes.
Mrs. Ramasco?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Finance and Budget and Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Carpenter and Mr. Kieber.
Couple need read here too, Madam President. Number 8, Precision Substitute Teacher Services. It's recommended to approve a 1-year extension agreement between the Ambridge Area School District and Precision HR Solutions, Inc. The determined this agreement shall end on June 30th, 2024, subject to solicitor review at no increase in cost. Number 9, it's recommended that the board approve the sale of property from Beaver County Repository of Unsold Property for the following property: A, 915 5th Street, Ambridge, tax parcel as listed for the amount listed, to Tom J. Fedorko. Aside from that, I'd like to make a motion to approve 1 through 9.
Do we have a second? Second.
Second.
Any board discussion? Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Fitzko?
Yes.
Mr. Kieber?
Yes, but no on number 4.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Zachi?
Yes.
Mrs. Ramasco?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Athletics and Public Relations, Mr. Zachi and Ms. Fitzko. Do you have anything else?
No, nothing tonight.
I have nothing for this evening. Thank you. Steering and Rules and Legislative, Mrs. Kehoe, Mrs. Fisher.
We have no voting items this evening.
Thank you. Personnel and Salary Schedule and Labor Relations, Mr. Cephas and Mrs. Smith. So Mrs. Smith.
Yes, thank you. I'm happy to read some of the things that were not listed last week. On page 8, number 9 is an FMLA with employee number 2532 taking a leave of absence under our board policy 535, beginning June 20th, 2023, not to exceed 12 weeks. And number 10 is an uncompensated leave. We are ratifying employee number 2532 taking an unpaid leave effective September 13th through January 2nd, 2024. This will be a one-time approval for the duration of employment with the district. All personal days must be used before using unpaid days. And then we go down to number 15. It is a resignation of Amaria Hall from her position as a Highland Elementary second grade teacher, effective May 19th, 2023, with regret. Number 16 is also a resignation. It is recommended to approve the resignation of Matthew Laporte from his position as a 2/3 position physical education teacher at Highland Elementary, effective June 3rd, 2023, with regret. And then under number 18, we're just filling in the names of the individuals working the summer school. Greta Bible, Christine Fischel, Lisa Fox, Michelle Hooten, Carrie Milenich, Tammy Kennedy, Michelle Wilson, and Carrie Kieber. Number 22 is a memorandum of understanding. It is recommended to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Ambridge Area School District and the Ambridge Area Education Association regarding an asynchronous cyber education program. 23 is the district course and section adjustments, which we've been discussing. I don't have to read them all, do I? And then under A is the adjustments, and then B, it is recommended to approve the alterations, as listed. And then number 24 is a subcontracted PIMS coordinator. It is recommended to approve a contract between the Ambridge Area School District and Carol Jessup for subcontracted PIMS services, pending the solicitor's review for a final agreement. And number 25, it is recommended, a resolution 2022-23-13. It is recommended to approve resolution 22-23-13 for placing employee number 335 on unpaid leave effective May 11th, 2023, and authorizing the issuance of charges and related notices consistent with the school code.
Was that a motion? I'm sorry.
And with that, I will make a motion. One moment. To approve items 1 through 25.
Second.
Any board discussion?
I have a couple questions on item number 23. I guess the first question, and forgive me if I've been told it already, is what are the sensitive timelines involved in this? Meaning, is this something that has time for, what are the timelines related?
These positions then will be made available for the union. Some of these positions will be created and open for the union bid, and you have to give that 7 days, I believe it is, before the bid.
Okay.
Which is it?
When is that?
It is June 3rd, 2nd, 3rd?
Not before the next meeting.
No, not before next meeting.
before the
I'm
next
sorry.
On the 2nd?
It is before.
Yes, that's right.
It is, the bid is before the next meeting, sorry.
Dr. Pasquarella, the second thing I'd like to ask is just in general, and I know you spoke to it to some extent already, but just in general, what was the effort of this exercise? What was the point, your point of the effort of this exercise? Like what is the benefit? How do you feel it's going to benefit the district? And what are your foreseen downsides, if any?
So I would say the benefits on a majority of the special education positions that were open and closed is it gives flexibility for transfer students who may come in and for teachers to be able to work with them and balance case size loads. That's the general idea there. I don't think a whole lot of programming will change, but it will allow for flexibility to do that. The other positions that are there, it allows us to maintain, the core specials in the elementary school, while using some of those folks that are certified to offer more electives than at the high school that we've been trying to work towards for our students. The downside that I would say, if there was one, would be the number of fifth planning periods at the elementary school won't be eliminated, but they will be reduced. And what that would mean for those that may not know is that our teachers by contract are entitled to 4 planning periods, which that's when our students get their specials at the elementary. But when possible, we try to offer them a 5th planning period, which is helpful to them, and it gives a little extra time in a given special to the students. So those aren't eliminated, but they are reduced. So that would be the one thing that we would say in conjunction with that. But overall, I think it allows us to comprehensively offer more electives.
Thank you.
Any other board discussion?
Question on the alterations. With the naming of these new positions, will this give the district more control over the teacher's bid? Yes or no?
Well, the positions will be up for bid. I don't know what you mean by control. I'm not sure I know what you mean.
You're putting a Highland, I'm just going to use one of these for an example.
Okay.
A Highland teacher at all grade levels. That teacher could be put at any grade level. Who picks the grade level?
For special education, you mean?
For any position.
Well, that's what it's listed. That's where we did that for.
So they would teach all grade levels?
They could.
They could.
Did you ask for special education? I couldn't hear what you said at the end.
Any position.
But I was just saying, I was just clarifying
Getting
because those are special education positions primarily that would say all grade levels. We wouldn't be able to, we don't have one on there that says all grade levels in the entire regular ed elementary.
So are you asking, is this not like regular grade level
Simple
teachers?
question.
Okay.
Will the district have more control over the bid when they rename these positions?
I answered the question. That's the best I know how to answer it.
I think this is similar to what we did last year, I believe, with high school and middle school. I could be wrong.
I think
That's my understanding.
The bid process is the same. The assignment
It gives you more control.
within a building would likely be enhanced.
I didn't hear all that, Megan, I'm sorry.
Sorry, so the bid itself, I mean, that is a function of the union and their rights under your collective bargaining agreement. So nothing in the curtailments or the alterations, affects their rights to bid. And I believe in most of these cases, it's all consistent with certifications as well. I could be corrected on that, but I believe that is true. And so it doesn't affect our control over the bid. It is our obligation to kind of define positions. And so you're exercising your managerial right to define positions. And then those positions, in this case, are broader or have more flexibility within a building, within a certification.
Thank you.
Any other board discussion?
I hate to put Dr. Filipowski on the spot, but Dr. Filipowski, can you come and just talk a little bit about the all grade levels and if you think there would be a major.
If you don't mind adding on to that too, just to talk about how similar that is to what we did last year with middle school and high school. Okay, sorry.
So first I want to say there are laws that we have to follow. So any special education classroom has to be within, if it's K through 5, you can only have a 3-year grade span. If you want to go, or a 3 age-year span. If you want to go above that, you have to have a waiver, and the parent has to be aware of that, and the parent has to sign off. For the secondary level, you can only do a 4-year grade span, and again, the parents would have to sign that waiver. The purpose of these changes was to better serve the students in that if we have, I'll give you an example. If we have students in the K2 autistic support classroom, if we only have students, we can only have 8 students in that classroom. So if we have 9 students and then the 3-5 autistic support classroom only had 4 students, we can shift that to be a K1 room and then that one be a 3-4 room. So you're really meeting the needs of the student and still staying within the guidelines of the law, if that makes sense. We did the same thing for middle school and high school last year to meet the needs. Yep. Any questions?
Did that answer your question?
Thank you, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Any other board discussion or questions? Okay, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carpenter?
No.
Mrs. Fisher?
Hold on.
No, I'm sorry. Yes, with the exception of 23. My apologies.
Mrs. Fisher?
One more question. So there is no additional time that we could say that we could go back and talk a little more about this.
Not without recessing probably this meeting at the conclusion for one item or advertising a special meeting. You can do it either way. If there was a motion to table this item. Absolutely. So the question was a procedural one, and it was one relating to whether or not there could be additional time for the board to consider, and I'm assuming item number 23. And so my feedback was there are 2 ways that the board could create another opportunity. One would be to to table this particular item if there was a majority of the board upon motion and second and vote who wished to do so. And then we would either need to have a special meeting another day that the board legally advertised to have a public meeting, or we could recess this particular meeting to a time and date certain at the end for consideration of that one tabled item. So there wouldn't be a legal advertisement involved in that, but we would have to all pull out our calendars and figure out when a quorum of the board could come back together to consider that with sufficient time to develop a different understanding.
So can we, at this point, entertain a motion if somebody's interested?
If someone was interested in tabling one or more of the items, you could do that anytime. It's a procedural motion. It requires a motion and a second. A motion to table is non-debatable and requires a majority of those present to pass.
Wait, can I ask one more public question before we go that much further? Is 23 directly correlated to 22? Or do I have that backwards?
It is not.
It is not. Okay.
20, never. Maybe you're saying A and B?
Nope, I was
Okay.
thinking
All right.
23 and 22, but never mind. I had that mixed. That is my fault.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do a roll call then?
Is there a
Do you
motion
mind-
to table?
Yeah, we already started voting.
We already started.
Oh,
so
well, so it could be interrupted with a motion to table is what if someone wished to do that. I want to make sure everyone understands procedurally what your options are, not driving an outcome.
I actually had it written down. I'll make that motion.
Motion to table item number 23?
Yes.
Do we need to say when we're coming
No,
back
we
to
can
it?
come back, we can consider that if it passes.
Okay,
I'll second the motion for the vote.
okay.
Okay, so we're going to suspend voting on the motion, the primary motion, which is a motion to approve this section, items 1 through 25 as presented. There's a motion to singularly table item number 23. It's been made and seconded. So this would be a point where the board secretary would do a roll call on the motion to table just for item number 23. Does everyone understand? Yeah, a vote of yes would be in fact to table, a vote no would be not to table, and then we would proceed with the primary motion, which was to adopt them all. Okay? Okay. Ms. Chan.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Fitzko?
Yes.
Mr. Kieber?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Zachi?
No.
Mrs. Romasco?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. So item number 23, so your motion now is to adopt items 1 through 25 with the exception of 23, which has been tabled. And at the conclusion of this motion, we can consider kind of how you want to address item number 23.
Okay. Thank you. Can we have a roll call for?
Let's just start over again.
Okay.
This is, okay. Everybody understand what numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Fitzko?
Yes.
Mr. Kieber?
Yes on all except items number 18 and 22. I have to abstain. They deal with my wife.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Zachi?
Yes.
Mrs. Romasco?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So can we have a discussion about that? Okay, so can we have a discussion on when we are coming back for that item? I believe because it's time sensitive? Well, anybody else have an opinion before I state mine?
We can't go back in.
I believe that we should go back.
Adjourn to executive session
Correct.
after
Yes.
the meeting?
Yes.
Yes, to return for a potential vote. Otherwise, I believe we're getting into timetables that
We have to return to the public.
if we are going to vote, yeah, which either one way or another, I would think we would have to vote, correct?
Yes, so either at the end of the meeting, we will have considered And this would be this would not be truly deliberative, so we can talk about when that date would be in connection with whatever legal questions you have in executive session. And then I would anticipate that so we'd get towards the end of the agenda, we'd adjourn to executive session for the purposes of discussing personnel and matters subject to attorney-client privilege. We would not adjourn the meeting. So if anyone, in fact, wanted to sit and wait and kind of hear if there was any further action, you would be welcome to do so. The board would come back into the meeting when you are ready to do so, and have whatever item you'd like to proceed with. And again, I would anticipate it would be a motion to authorize a special meeting, or just because it's probably more expedient, it doesn't involve legal advertising, when you're going to recess this current meeting to consider 23. Okay?
Is everybody good with that? Do we need to vote on that? Okay.
When we get to
Everybody good? Okay. I do not have anything this evening. Solicitor Turnbull, do you have anything?
I just want to report that we have prepared, and it is either eminently filed or has been filed, the petition to sell Ridge Road to the current tenant. That's consistent with the option agreement that we executed last year. We are going to do our very, very best to have that closed by the end of this fiscal year, without being able to promise that, just because we're at the mercy of the courts once we actually get that filed and have the date for the hearing. But just wanted to report that that is moving forward, and all of the contingencies that were in that option agreement have been met to the satisfaction of the purchaser.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Pascarello?
I just wanted to, I was able to check out the middle school band concert. It was excellent last night. Just wanted to report that, as well as all the other activities going on throughout the district this spring. It's been a pleasure to attend a lot of those. Thank you.
Thank you. It is now time for old and new business. Any district resident who desires to comment on any business relevant to the Ambridge Area School District should now come forward. Each person must state their first and last name and address prior to speaking. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes and can speak only once.
Sherry Rounds, Winter Economy Borough. I just wanted to thank Dr. Pascarella and the board for taking the time to review the GPA. Sorry. I know it affects my son, and I know it affects some other students in the school, and it will definitely help them next year when they're applying. I feel awful that it couldn't help the class of 2023, but I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Sean Duguay, 511 Wilson Avenue. I would like to start out by saying thank you to the school board. One of the members made a phone call for us. My 9th grader has been struggling with his IEP this year. We brought that to the school's attention in November. He was just tested last week, and some of his classes he's failing, and that reflects on his IEP. So with his new IEP, will the grades that he has now, are they going to affect him moving forward into 10th grade? Because as of right now, he's looking at a lot of summer school or potentially repeating, and it's a lot of work that he was having trouble comprehending to begin with. The second thing, I seen that the school district filed suit against Norfolk Southern. I was wondering what the plan was for whatever settlement comes from that for in the district. And the third one, I was recently, this is more so for you, Ms. Turnbull. I was recently contacted by the middle school because one of my children was witness to an incident. And I asked the assistant solicitor that was present about a Bridger blast, because when a student assaults a staff member, a Bridger blast goes out, parents are made aware. But this time, a staff member assaulted a student, and there's been nothing anywhere. Watching my son replay this back and talk with Mr. Hurd and your assistant, just watching them talk to him, he was literally revisualizing what had happened. Why was there not a Bridger blast put out about that? Thank you.
So I'll speak to the northern southern one. I mean, that's obviously just brand new, so I don't know that the board has talked at all about, whether or not there will even be potential money coming back to us from that and what that would be used for. I mean, I think it's a valid question and something that we can definitely talk about.
Okay.
I would say for the IEP, if you have any specific questions, you could reach out, obviously, to case manager, building principal, or Dr. Filipowski to try to discuss with you what some of those questions that you had specifically to the IEP.
And the last item, there's probably a couple different angles, but I think one is that neither the board or the district speaks to employee discipline, which I know isn't exactly what your comment is. But as you can imagine, many of those things, as sometimes with student matters, there's a dispute. And so we work through those. I don't think I've ever seen a Bridger blast for an alleged incident involving, well, I can't say that. Occasionally, when it's warranted, there are Bridger blasts that reach any misconduct on district property, regardless of who perpetrates it. But this was not one, and it's one that is developing. And I appreciate that you and your family are assisting in the ways that they are, and if there's any other students who wish to participate, or you know how to reach us. So thank you.
One quick question on number 25 there. The authorizing of issuance of charges in related notices. Is that issuance of criminal charges? Or what does that mean by charges?
The district only has the authority relative to its powers. And so in that case, you can see that it relates to, we identify an employee number, and so that's a Jones resolution relating to employment.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak this evening?
Arloff Economy. You're talking about the electives for the high school, which is great, but are we using these teachers that we're curtailing to do more work into the high school and taking away from our elementary students, where they're just learning how to read, write, and do math? Where are we getting bodies to employ to do these electives? Are we using our STEAM teacher? Are we using our gym teachers there?
Yeah, so as I stated earlier when I was asked, that the specials that are being offered at the elementary school will still be offered. So there's enough space with those folks to be able to be utilized to offer additional electives at the high school. So they will still, elementary students, grades K to 5, will still get STEAM, art, music, phys ed. As I said earlier, to be transparent, they may not get an extra one of those. Some of them will, but not all of them.
Okay, even taking out the extra, we're still going to have the full round of art, band, music. We're not going to lose that. We're just going to lose the fifth. special.
We're just going to lose, I missed
We're just
that.
going to lose the 5th special? We're not
Correct,
going
and
to?
you won't lose, you may not lose all of the 5th. There will be some folks that may not be able to get a 5th, that's the truth. But they will have art, STEAM, phys ed, music.
So with the teachers traveling, so if you're going to be at the elementary school, you might just be there in the morning or just there in the afternoon. So does that screw up our teachers' schedules in the next year?
So I'm sorry, just before, I should have said this
That's why
before,
I'm
so, yeah. Do you have any other questions? We have to get all the questions out first and then we'll answer. So before we continue.
Oh, with Ms. Briola with the Spanish, I can understand her concerns since my daughter is also in Spanish too, and this is now her 5th teacher this year with Spanish. So I know it's hard to get employees to come in, and we're bringing more electives for what we need as a elective in order to go to colleges. So that is my concern as well as hers.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sorry. Amy Fitzgill, 819 Maplewood Avenue. Michael Hope, this is for you, friend. My daughter is on bus 29, State Street. Every day, the aide on that bus is screaming and yelling at her. Gemma, shut up. Gemma, shut up and sit down. Gemma, why are you taking so long to get off the bus? Gemma, shut up. I've called Michael Rhodes as a parent, I can't tell you how many times. I've gone to Mrs. Hoover. Bless her heart, she does as much as she can. I'm tired. Tired. Every time I report her, leave a voicemail, anything I do, it gets worse. I get, Gemma, shut up, you turned me in, you got me in trouble. Gemma, shut up and sit down, you turned me in, you got me in trouble. I'm real tired of my daughter being retaliated against from Denise on bus 29 from Rhodes Transit, who's also on the pre-K bus. So I don't know what else to do. I know I'm a board member, I'm also a parent. And I'm real tired of my daughter being retaliated against. And Rhodes, I have contacted them numerous times over. I've talked to Michael himself. They pull the tapes. I mean, my daughter's been assaulted on that bus, had her face cut open. The camera magically didn't work. Girl in her grade threatened to drag her by the hair down the aisle. Didn't work. Gemma fell off the bus, and they couldn't see it. Got her arm stuck in the door. So I don't understand why we're letting these bus aides retaliate against the children. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
How many times have you contacted them that the cameras haven't worked? Approximately.
At least 2.
Okay.
I've also talked to the Baden Police Department, the Ambridge Police Department, Dr. Pascarilla, Megan. Pretty sure most of you know. I've called Michael Rhodes multiple times. Actually, last week I left him multiple voicemails, very angry he didn't call me back. Mrs. Hoover tries her best. I know she tries, but I'm just not sure where we're at, and the issue lies with Rhodes. It is a standstill from them. And they say to me, we have a shortage, we can't fire her. I didn't ask for that. I asked you to have her stop retaliating against the child, because if I'm literally on the phone with my child hearing, Gemma, shut up, you got me in trouble. That's retaliation. Thank you.
Mr. Carpenter, did you say something?
I think I wasn't sure I heard what she said,
Okay.
but I think I did
Okay.
catch the drift. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak this evening?
Jamie Curry, Economy Borough. I just have a question about, there is a resignation of a second grade teacher at Highland, but I didn't see on the alterations where there is an addition of a second grade at Highland. So is that something that's going to happen? Or is there just going to be one second grade class at Highland?
I can make an assumption, but you can speak to it more than I can.
Is that your question?
Well, and
Oh,
I
sorry,
just,
yeah.
I know that you said that you answered the question, but I'm not comprehending your answer. So the elementary specials teachers, are you curtailing all of their jobs and replacing them with one human being? Or is Mrs. Parisi still going to be at Economy and State Street? Mr. E still going to be at Economy? Mrs. Holmes still at the middle school and Economy? Like, I'm not understanding. I understand that my child will still have gym, but who is going to teach gym class? Is it still going to be the teachers that are there now, or are you getting rid of those teachers and replacing them with one human being?
Is that all your questions?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So the second grade position, good question. So if we're not going to eliminate a teacher, then it's already created, it's vacated. It'll just be on the bid that somebody can bid. So to answer the question simply, there will be 2 sections at Highland. You don't put that on there because we're not altering that position. It's vacated. It will be on the bid to be filled. To answer your question about who will be teaching certain positions, I'm going to try to answer this as honestly as I can. Again, we can't say who it will be because there's a bid, so it could be different people. But for the sake of your example, maybe this would help. In physical, there will be one full-time teacher for physical education that goes to all 3 buildings, plus a little extra that goes to elementary and also goes to the high school. Similar, there will be one full-time STEAM, one full-time art that goes to all 3 elementaries. And there will be some other components that travel and do a little bit of elementary and some middle and some high school to offer the electives. I hope that helps to clarify.
Anybody else who wishes to speak this evening?
Hi, I am Wendy Duguay on Wilson Avenue. Just a couple things I wanted to touch base on. Not to say that people don't deserve a raise, because I'm sure it's well-deserved, but if there's cutting and other stuff happening in other areas, why is that money not being put towards something else? Like other programs, or trying to keep more than one teacher? Because it sounds like you've got like one teacher trying to do the job of 3, so. And with the bus situation, I mean, it's been nonstop all year for a lot of people, and there are varying degrees of issues. But when is our roads contract up, and is Ambridge seriously considering going to one of the other companies that were brought up in a previous meeting?
Do you want me to answer? So, raises, I'll just say that many of the raises that are given to all employees throughout the district are contracted in one way or another. And I also believe that folks that receive the raises deserve those raises that they're getting. Busing, we continue to work with roads as they continue to try to improve upon the process. I think it was maybe a meeting or so ago, we did reach out to try to get some subcontracting help through another neighboring bus company, and that has helped some. I can't say that it solved all the problem, but they have been working with another company when there was a shortage, and they continue to try to build a plan to try to rectify this. And I know that they're working very hard, but we need to just continue to improve. I appreciate their hard work that they've done, but I think we all know we just need to continue to improve. Oh, the contract year, we're in year 1 of a 5-year contract. Thank you.
Hi, Christina Briola, Harmony Township again.
As a high school parent, I'm really glad we're getting more electives. I am concerned at sacrificing other educational positions for the sake of education in general. That's always been a concern of mine, and I have voiced that opinion many, many times. So it's just an additional concern. I would like to thank, Rhodes did correct the track bus situation the last time I was at the meeting for 2 days, and that was it. The kids went back to unsafe busing. I encourage the board members that are on Facebook to go to the Residents United, whatever, that really long group name, because parents are complaining about the bus every day. Multiple parents are expressing the fact that they have to drive their kids. They've changed work schedules in order to drive their kids because the buses are overcrowded. If the company is unable to meet their contractual obligations in a safe manner for the students of this district, why are we continuing to pay them? That is unacceptable. I know that I've been angry at this bus company since they left mine and John Carpenter's daughter on a bus all by themselves when they were in 4th grade.
It's been a while.
We were a little fired up about that, and they weren't at school, as was Aphrodite and Mary Morosco, thankfully, helped us out a lot. But it doesn't seem like they're able to meet the needs of our district at all. So if they're unable to do this and they're putting us at risk with, making us liable for injuries of kids because kids are sitting on the floor, multiple kids in the seat, standing on the bus as they are driving down the roads in bad weather conditions and whatnot, what kind of liability situation are we going to be in when a bus is in an accident and some kid gets seriously hurt? It's not like we haven't had bus accidents before. Their parents are going to sue us. They're going to sue Rhodes, and we know that this is a problem and they are continually unable to meet the needs of our district or meet their contractual obligations with us. Yep, they're saving money because they're saving spaces because we're not riding as many buses. But our kids aren't safe. And that's my kid on the bus, and granted, I drive him to school every day, but I don't take him home every day. And he does play sports, so he's riding on a bus to get to those sports. I want my kid to be safe. I waited a long time for my child. I waited a really long time to have him. And God forbid something happens to him. And I'm just, I can't understand how this isn't acceptable. And we continue with this company who's done this not 1 year, multiple years. Because my kid's now in 9th grade. That's been 5 years that these situations happen. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else that wishes to speak this evening?
Hello, Marky Hudak, Anthony Wade Terrace, Baden, PA. My question is with Rhodes. Again, I drive my daughter and my niece to school every morning because I'm able to with work, but I cannot pick them up. My daughter, there's 3 to a seat, there's kids standing, there's kids sitting in the aisle. We can't control that, but I've called Rhodes 3 different times, leaving my question, my name, my number. My question is there a ratio or is there an amount of students that can legally be on a bus? So with pre-K, we have seat belts. I was just curious. I've tried to do research, my own. It depends on the type of the brand and the make of the bus and how many seats. And then also it kind of was a gray area of students to adults. My 8th grader wears women's clothes. I don't know with age if she's considered a student, but her size, she's technically an adult size. Her body capacity, she's sitting. So what is there a number of how many students can be on the bus when these buses are being combined? Is there an actual number that's anybody's counting the students? Thank you.
So just to speak real briefly, the board did ask Solicitor Turnbull to look through and try to decipher all of those laws because they are a little bit, there's a lot to go through. That was about a month ago, so I just don't want to put her totally on the spot. So we'll see. I think somebody else is here to comment. So it just might take her a little bit of time to look it up. So she can certainly look it up. Yes.
Me either.
She's going to look it up multiple times. Yeah, she'll start to look it up and.
Is it that gray area? Are they students or are they adults? Because is there a size of how many can sit in a seat, even though they're pretty much sitting on each other's laps?
So there are legal maximum capacities, and in many of the big school buses have those posted on the bus themselves. It probably says maximum capacity 72 passengers. So that is an outward limit, but as you can imagine, that's 3 bodies to a seat, and as you pointed out, that is very different from kindergarten bodies to our high school track team bodies, right? Like in the 3 to a seat. We are taking the position that there is an overlay on top of whatever the minimums are that goes along to just common sense and safety. And so, we have communicated with Rhodes, and we will very likely continue to communicate with them about those concerns. I think the more information that the administration has, I know that there have in fact been days where your administrators, Dr. Pascarella himself, has gone out and counted bodies getting onto buses to check whether or not, as a minimum threshold, those measures have been met. And even where they have been, it has seemed incredibly tight or, difficult, and that's difficult from the safety perspective with students, probably also bus management for drivers. I mean, all of those things together. I know that the board is concerned, the administration is concerned, parents are concerned. I would anticipate that Rhodes is concerned as well and hasn't found a way yet to address those concerns. So we are actively involved, but I appreciate it. From my seat, I appreciate the continuing input. I know that everyone else at this table does as well.
Thank you.
Hi, Kitty Curtis, Economy Borough. I just want to tell Mr. Rhodes thank you. My granddaughters ride a bus. Every time I've ever called down there, his people are very respectful. They've answered my questions. My granddaughter fell asleep, didn't get off at her bus stop. 20 minutes later, here comes the bus with her back after the phone calls were made to Mary, Mr. Rhodes' people. So he's doing the best he can with what he's got. If you want to gripe and you want to complain, try to find a solution, because I know him and his team have tried all year to try to find a solution for us all. My solution, I pick my granddaughter up at the end of the day because she doesn't like the longer bus ride. I know not everybody can do that, so don't kill me now, but if that's a solution, do that. Stop complaining and find a solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak this evening? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
For personnel matters and matters subject to attorney-client privilege and likely to receive information.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The plan is
Yes.
Yep, so we'll come back.
That's what they need to know.
Tabled.
And then, theoretically they could. So theoretically they could come back, remove it from the table if they wish to do so. Although I would say if additional information is needed, it seems unlikely that it would be resolved tonight, and instead there would be a return and probably an action about whether, my recommendation is likely going to be, and it will be for them to accept or to come up with a different solution, to recess this meeting at the end. And so what that means is that we suspend whatever hasn't been resolved, and only that, which is this one item, this item 23, and then then we'll announce a day and a time that we're going to come back and just have to kind of pick up where we left off and keep on talking about item number 23.
But for the people that are here, I have a question. If they want to stay here, there is a chance that they could vote, right?
Yeah, so minimally, there'll be a vote on that item, and you can vote if you wish to, if you're ready to. You could make, yes, I mean, you could, if you. No. I mean, it's
We'll see
it's
whether
happened-
we agree or not.
Can you bring me a cheeseburger at least? Like,
You know what, they've been here since 3:30 and they haven't eaten. So if that is any indication of like whether they could actually go that long, probably not that long, but. And if it looks like it's going to be really, really long, sometimes they'll send me out just to kind of like let anybody know who's here that there's a lot more to keep on talking about or not, so. Until we go in there, I'm not really sure.
Am I wrong that part of when we were talking about it, that part of it was either table it till later, go upstairs, whatever, or we would put it on, like make a public announcement, have another meeting about it? Weren't those the two options that they had?
So they could come, so it's tabled right now, we're still live in a meeting, so they can come back and vote on that item again, or make a motion to amend it if they really wanted to, that's within the law. Or they're going to choose to vote to advertise a completely separate meeting, or they could recess this meeting and just consider this one item on a different date. And when we do that, we have to announce when we say we're going to recess, we have to say what day and what time we're coming back, and that's a recess. We don't have to legally advertise if we recess. So that's a consideration both in terms of cost and the turnaround time for the newspaper.
okay. So we will keep you updated if it's going to be a longer time period. But I've seen them go until 3 in the morning. Yep.